So it's catching on, but most people are going to own Bitcoin because they need a hedge against the failure of the banking system. You buy silver and gold for hedging against the banks and the currency debauchement, but you get crypto for the basically the currency in the banking system collapsing. You need to have an alternative system that's outside the banking system that doesn't have a liability to it.
Millions of Americans find themselves unprepared to handle the financial storm happening around them. Citizens from all over the country are stuck relying on unemployment and relief packages to feed their family, stay in their homes, instead of living life on their own terms. Take control of your financial destiny by learning how to dominate the stock market. Trading tools and trading courses. Trade Genius will teach you how to make money nearly every day trading the markets from the comfort of your own home. All you need is an internet connection to get started. Go to TradeGeniusAcademy.com and browse the online training programs. Learn to trade exchange-traded funds, ETFs, binary options, cryptocurrency, gold, and silver. Interact with Trade Genius community, fellow traders, and certified Trade Genius trades, alongside professionals who generate revenue for themselves in the stock market every single day. Live buy and sell alerts text to your phone, built for both new and experienced traders. TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Discounted bundles with their Freedom Specials. Use the promo code AUGUST for 40% off all non-bundled items. Click on the link in the description box below, and now on with the interview.
Good afternoon, everyone. Because of what we're seeing across the news landscape, gold and silver getting to all-time highs, runaway food inflation, China looking at 20% core food inflation just in the last 2 months. I don't think we could afford that in the United States. Seems whatever's happening with all this money printing is almost getting away from the monster that's created it. I'm here with Bob Kudla, TradeGeniusAcademy.com. And if you have some of this information to see how the landscape might move out in the next few months or year, you can begin to protect yourself, because as we see these changes, you're going to need a little more money to operate in the future or protect already what you have as we get into these, I should say, greater inflationary times. So TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Bob, always a pleasure to talk with you to get some insight on how you think the world might be moving financially.
And, the goal is to get Biden elected, to get the world working together again as some sort of harmonious religious cult. And then when it's time for you to not be able to eat food, they're going to go tell you that there's any food shortages and you're going to be rationed. So, the people can only be scared of too many things at one time. They're just going to keep coming at you with something different each and every time. And you need to have the old digital currency standby Bitcoin, which is now starting to break out from its halving. And, you can actually buy GBTC if you don't want to go ahead and open up a crypto account. You can just buy GBTC, and you'll get essentially the same effect for Bitcoin. And my understanding is that trust is going to expand into some other coins too. So GBTC is going to become a very robust digital asset that you can trade through the stock market.
And as I look across the landscape, you can see the conversion inbound here, where they're talking about central bank digital currencies, the Fed dollar, the Fed coin, whatever it might be, deposited directly from the Fed to you in terms of a stimulus if the next round comes, or in terms of a monthly stipend that's supposedly going to be voted on and coming in the future, so everybody that would be unemployed can continue beyond the unemployment. It'll be an extra stipend for living, to buy food price increases. But the only way you'll be able to get it is through a digital means. So the way that things are already stacking up and the plans out for the future through 2021 to get even what American citizens could be considered, help or substance from the government, is going to be delivered in a digital form. So you can already see everything kind of moving that way. And with immunity passports and the COVID tracking apps, that's all going to be blockchain based as well. Now remember, blockchain doesn't mean cryptocurrency. Blockchain is for so many other aspects, from smart contracts to keeping documents in a non-forgery status. to be able to double check that nothing's been changed, because once on the blockchain, immutable, non-changeable. So blockchain has so many other uses than you can possibly comprehend at this moment. But, you know, cryptocurrency is just one little thin sliver in that huge giant ecosystem. But when you can see so many Fortune 500 companies all rushing in to use these protocols, you know it's here. You know the conversion's inbound. So the next logical step is to remove cash or limit cash, convert you over to that. So that's my personal reason why I think crypto is going to be running through this next year or so, increasing as more people come into the ecosystem. And Bob, correct me if I'm wrong here. Over the last 3 weeks, we've seen 3 different articles. The first one was that banks are now allowing customers to hold crypto, but the bank has to hold the private keys as a custodian, but will allow my grandma to hold digital currency in a bank as long as the bank holds the private keys. It can be the custodian. And, you know, that's just some of the news that's coming out, as well as Visa coming through now offering different payments. So you can, if you have a Visa card, you can keep it in a Bitcoin account. You can pay off your balance with Bitcoin. You can swap between dollars, Bitcoin, or Ethereum and Bitcoin. And these are all just some of the changes in the last 2 weeks. Now that might be part of the price run up, but that whole crypto sphere is the one thing I'm most interested in. I also use your trading signal service on that. So, you know, I'm super a fan of blockchain in itself, technology.
Well, Square is going to be trading cryptos here in the near future, number one. And number two, there's a company, MicroStrategy, just announced that Bitcoin will be a reserve asset for them as well. So it's catching on, but most people are going to own Bitcoin because they need a hedge against the failure of the banking system. You buy silver and gold for hedging against the banks and the currency debauchement, but you get crypto for basically the currency in the banking system collapsing. You need to have an alternative system that's outside the banking system that doesn't have a liability to it. So that's what you're going to see more and more as, look at Turkey. I mean, Turkey's ready to collapse. Turkey and Argentina, you know, are always on my list of countries to watch that their currencies are just going to implode. Keep an eye on India. India is always close. And who knows when China goes, and when China goes, it's basically all over. So, yeah, so we're watching all that stuff. But we signal all that stuff out, Dave. And, you know, I shot you some notes from people today. You know, all the last 2 weeks, we were noticing that as prices of silver and gold were going up, the open interest on the futures exchanges were drying up, which means that it was becoming more short covering. We covered our massive gains that we had in the miners and said, hey, we're going to get a pullback to trend line on this stuff, maybe even to breakouts. You know, gold going back to the high 1800s, silver going back to 20. And then lo and behold, overnight, they basically rated gold and silver, brought gold down into the 1900s, brought silver down into, I think, around 2350 area. I think there's still movement to go down another $100 in gold, another $4 to $5 in silver. And then that just brings it back to the trend line. People got to realize silver's up 300%, gold's up 50% since March. They need to breathe a little bit. And then there's going to be tremendous buying power. And this is going to be the wave. This next wave coming for gold and silver and miners are going to be the wave. So this is going to be the third wave since 2016. After this, so we had 2016 wave, we had our 2020 wave, and we're going to have a wave going into 2021 that's going to be just likely to be lights out. Silver 245, gold to 2,900. All the miners are going to double and triple from here. And we're going to have, and we've had doubles on all the stuff we were buying since March. So it's going to be a good time here again. But not just that. Platinum's going to go, palladium's going to go, uranium's going to go. There's just the whole commodity complex is going to get a big lift. And that's what we're playing for, and that's what we're trading for. But you know, I shot you some notes on some of the stuff that we did for folks and how we helped make them money. We positioned people to be short. They made a lot of money today. We positioned to be short the market and short the metals because of what's happening in politics. And if I'd be interesting for your readers, your listeners to read what some of our subscribers are saying. And those are all those things I sent you were just from today and yesterday. And you can take advantage of it if you want to trade with us. Just go to tradelikeagenius.com or tradegeniusacademy.com. And we put together bundles for the listeners with Dave. And tell them Dave sent you. You get 60% already pre-bundled discounts. And if you buy anything in the store, just tremendous opportunity. We have a really good system. It's algorithm driven. It's not black box. You can actually have access to the buy and sell ribbon system as long as you're a client. So you can trade stuff we don't trade. You have access to our chat rooms. You have access to our training programs. And we actually even give you trade signals too. So we kind of give you the trifecta. We feed you, we equip you, and then we also teach you.
I'll put all the links in the description box below. And speaking of education, Bob, here, can you, short covering, we hear that term all the time, especially if you're looking across financial media and they're talking about covering the short. Quick investment lesson here, just in a very, simplistic summary or just a very short summary. If somebody were to hear covering a short in the news or covering a short and they read it in a financial magazine or you just hear about it, what does that mean for the gold and silver? I thought gold and silver was just supposed to go up. So what does this covering short mean?
So I'll give it to you from the miner perspective, then I'll give it to you from a speculator perspective. So a guy that's mining gold and silver may need capital ahead of their ability to pull the gold and silver out of the ground. So they can go into the futures market and they can sell their production ahead of time. So that's called being short the market. And then they could pick a date in the future when they have to deliver the gold and silver. And that's called the delivery date. And so when a producer does it, that's what they do. So they may say, hey, gold's at $1,800 now, but I can't get this out of the ground for 2 months. It's going to be $1,870 in 2 months. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and sell a contract short there. And then I have to deliver gold at that price, okay, at that time. So if gold goes to, let's say the miner did this, and then he realized, oh my gosh, the top 10 mines in the world are shut down for COVID, right? And all of a sudden he sees the price of gold going up to 1900, 1920. He will cover that position by basically buying back that contract, most cases at a higher price if he's wrong. And then that puts pressure on the market and forces prices to rise. When speculators enter into this frenzy, they short, the bankers are shorting it all the time because they don't want competition from their currency, right? They want to be the de facto arbiter of value in an economy. But you get a situation where you have a shortage of gold and silver being delivered to the market, and you're short contracts. And what the banks do, they call naked shorting. They're shorting contracts that they can't deliver on. They don't have it already in a vault somewhere. Like, it's called being covered by a margin. So they don't have it covered. So what they do is it's the oldest fraud in the world. This is why in the Middle Ages, a lot of banks went broke because they never expected the lord of the manor to come pick his gold up, and they were lending it out and profiting from it, and the lord never knew. Then the lord all of a sudden needs their gold, or the king says, I'm going to tax you, and he has to get it out of there. Well, the bank doesn't have it. He lent it out to everybody, and that's called a run on a bank. And so what happens is you get a run on these short covering, and like silver, price exploded. It went from like $16 to almost $30 because they had to scramble to get price high enough for somebody to give their physical silver away to cover these guys who are short these contracts. So how we know it's going to end is that there's less and less contracts at price going up, which means there's not new buyers. There's just existing sellers that have to satisfy a contract at higher prices. So that's what short covering is in a nutshell. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it sure does. It makes sense in some of the articles I've been reading about the COMEX at the highest delivery volumes ever recorded since they began delivering. And it's only the first 6 months of the year, and it's blown through every other year ever in the recorded history of that institution operating. just in the first 6 months, it's more physical gold delivered into the hands of people than all the previous years. And we're only halfway through the year now. So there's all these signs around us across the planet that we're seeing that something's just not right with the food and the finance. And, you know, this might be one of those signals that I would be looking at.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that you and I talked for years, and and we've not been wrong. So, we're within a year what we thought was going to happen. These things happening, and they're happening. They just can't hide these things anymore. So there's no free lunch, and they basically took away all the easy options. Now it gets harder from here. May not manifest in the United States first. It probably won't. But we got to start looking for pressure from other places in the world. China's in big trouble. The reason why they took over Hong Kong is they need the dollars, okay? And they're going to be stealing the dollars. They're going to be stealing the gold that Hong Kong has to maintain the power grip for the CCP. And then you're going to have to look at some of the other dollar-denominated economies. Once the dollar starts to weaken too much, these economies can't. They're not like the United States. Because we trade in their own currency. They're going to be absolutely obliterated, and that's what happened in 2011. That's repeating itself. So the easy trades are out, and today with the inflation news, and then with the political fighting, and with the crazy weather that we're experiencing. The monsoon going for 6 more weeks out west, and then this big derecho wind we just had. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. And that we're going to start seeing even more fear in the market. So, but we're positioned. So I'm pretty stoked, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm a glass half full guy. So instead of worrying about it, I'm an ant, not a grasshopper. I'm going to prepare.
Yeah, Bob, that's great advice, because it's all about the mind frame, knowing that even if you don't have everything you need right at this second, that you can continue to work forward chip by chip. If you're going to create a statue out of a block of stone, it's every little chip helps create, and bring you toward that final end goal. And getting prepared for either the grand solar minimum or these changes in the economy. It's all what it is. It's all mind frame. And I thank you for pointing that out to us. And yeah, thanks for your time today. I thought it was real valuable at learning a few things on trading aspects and, where you see the markets might move, because now it's pretty much across the entire landscape of national news, which everybody's watching it. But all these same topics are really starting to hit into the mainstream, and it's good that now we can kind of just flush it out for everybody to take a look at in earnest and what it means for their lives.
Yeah, no, I agree. Thanks for having me, Dave, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, great. Thanks for that. And I'll put all the links in the description box below for what we talked about and how to get a hold of Bob up at TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Until we talk next.
Thank you.